the road.
Aren't you excited?
I'm very excited. Oh, are you asking them?
Well, I mean, it was rhetorical, but I'll just act like I asked you. Well, we didn't stay home very long. We had to get right back on the road. We're heading for the Redwoods in California. There's snow along the highway here, but it is beautiful. We just passed Crater Lake, Mount Mazama, the viewpoint right here. Let's see if we can get it out the window.
Maybe. There's
Maybe.
snow.
Anyway, we're in Southern Oregon heading for California, and we'll check in when we get there. Well, we do have a special whiskey along for the ride this week here. We're at a national park, and so it only makes sense that we should drink a whiskey that is very focused on the outdoors and national parks, that sort of thing. Westward American Single Malt Whiskey. A lot more to come on this one because we're going to be here a few days. We want to open it up and let the air do its thing to this whiskey. That means first we have to open it and look at the presentation. Beautiful box here. The lid is designed, super
so
cool.
Beautiful.
But Julie's got to do the honors because she is the cork pop champion. Go ahead, rip that out of there and do your thing.
Oh, that was nice.
That
the
echoed
acoustics.
throughout the redwood forest.
I love it. Tell me what. There are no redwood trees around us.
No, that's absolutely right. Of course, we had every intention of doing our tasting there at the campground, but we just had too much fun with our friends.
Yeah.
And you just saw a little bit of the hiking around that we did while we were there. And after this tasting, there will be more hiking. But now we are at the tasting station, and what more appropriate place to do a tasting than that? Well, we need to tell you what this bottle is and exactly what the plan is for it tonight. So it came in this fantastic display box. This is not one of their off-the-shelf whiskeys. This was sent to us by Westward Whiskey. This is their American Single Malt. It's one of their club releases. This is the Westward Whiskey Vintner's Cuvée. Doesn't that sound nice?
It does. It sounds elegant.
It is elegant. In a cuvée, a blender's finest wines come together to create something even more spectacular than the sum of its parts. Similarly, the exceptional mingle of our whiskeys aged in fruit-forward Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, Tempranillo, and Pinot Noir barrels brings the best of world-class wine to American whiskey, delivering a dram with bold berry character.
I like berries.
Sure.
I like bold character.
Yeah.
And I like wine.
I have to say, this is the first time that you've seen Westward Whiskey on our channel. And they're the last, I believe, large distillery or major Oregon distillery that we haven't been in contact with or haven't tried something from. So we're excited for this. You can see that we did do some damage to this bottle with our friends while we were out there. Not really sure what to expect, but they gave us a ton of tasting notes.
Great.
We are not expert tasters. Our plan tonight is to read through these tasting notes while we're nosing and tasting this whiskey and see if we get the same things or if we find anything different in here, and then ultimately just say whether or not we like this whiskey.
I love this idea. I am a proponent of the power of suggestion.
Sure.
So you tend to say something and I'm like, yeah, I'm totally getting that too. Are we always right about our tasting notes? Absolutely
100%.
not.
Oh, I mean, no, we're not. All right, well, let's get to the nose here and let's see what we find, and then we will read these tasting notes and see if we get any of these right. When we cork popped this bottle, you could smell it already outside from several feet away. There's a aggressive nose on this whiskey in the best way, and everybody that tried it this weekend totally agreed with that sentiment. Bold and that rickhouse, that sort of musty wandering through a vineyard barrel room or something like that is what you definitely get here. I don't get a ton of fruit notes on the nose, just a general fruitiness, I suppose. I'm not that attuned to what it might be specifically.
Yeah, I think it's the wine.
All right, so tasting notes. Would you like to know what they say?
Are there any nosy notes?
Several.
Oh, so should we start with that?
Yeah, so the aroma.
Okay.
Strawberry.
I did say fruity. I didn't really dive into that.
Nondescript fruitiness. I honestly...
Yeah, nondescript. It doesn't smell super strawberry.
It's the same type of strawberry nose that you get on a red wine sometimes. It's not inherently strawberry. It's just reminiscent of strawberry. Dried raisins. That I would fully agree with.
Yep.
Are there not dried raisins? What are regular raisins? Are those dried?
Great question, but I just always assumed they were like shriveled
grapes.
Yeah,
when I think raisins, I think they're already dried. Also figs.
Yeah, I would imagine. I'm not a fig person, but I mean raisins and figs.
Yeah.
Throw them in, nobody will know.
I'm barely a person, so being a fig person is not in my wheelhouse either. Red orchard fruits.
Whatever that red fruit is, whether it's like red delicious apples or strawberries or whatever. But wine is red generally. I like to drink red wine.
Sure.
And then I said fruit, and I just assumed it was a red fruit. So I'm going to take it.
You know what? Yeah, count it. Julie's on the board. Also, red lace licorice.
That's interesting. It actually has a spiciness to me that would contradict that. Like if I was going to go to a licorice, it wouldn't have probably been red.
Really?
Yeah.
And
just because of the spiciness.
And that red vine nose is there for me. Interesting.
Nice.
Okay. And citrus peel.
Yeah, it's probably there.
That's probably... Well, I got to be honest, that's a long list of aroma notes, and as much as I enjoyed going through that, my palate is now officially wetted and ready to take a sip. What do you say?
Cheers.
Cheers. Ooh, that's tangy, zingy, fruit forward.
I don't remember this tasting like this.
Well, you're the 51st States of whiskey.
Totally, 100%.
So,
but it almost tastes like it's finished in tequila barrels versus wine barrels. There's something real funky about this right at this moment.
Well, there's an earthiness from those used barrels that I think comes across here. I really like it. I think that it adds complexity, and the brightness of the fruit on the tip of the tongue really balances out that mustiness from all those used barrels. Do you want to know the tasting notes before you go in for sip 2, or should we wait?
How many tasting notes are there? Like, should we do like half of them and then
6?
Let's do 3.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can get them.
All right, I like this idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Tasting note number 1, black currant.
Huh.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
There's a zingy dark fruit there. The other fruit on this list is strawberry. Which I think is absolutely, that's that bright red fruit that I get on the tip of the tongue with this one. The third tasting note I really, really like, and I'm going to look for it on this second sip, shortcake.
Interesting. So my sip and...
Oh, hang on, that was the same tasting note, strawberry shortcake. My apologies. Okay, so let's see if there's strawberry shortcake.
Into me.
I got the first part of that, but let's see if there's shortcake too.
The strawberry, I always think like juicy and sweet, and that's not what I'm getting with this. It is earthy and musty to me.
And I think that it's all there. It depends on what part of the tongue it's touching, because I think as it hits the front of your tongue, that's where that brightness lives. As you get to the back of your tongue, that's where you might find some licorice spice.
Yeah.
Are you ready for more palate notes?
Let's do it.
Okay. I like this note because it's definitely in here. Clove.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that spice is. And that's, again, it goes back to that earthiness.
I have to put that in my carrot cake.
You do. And I like your carrot cake. This note here is the one that you've been waiting for.
Oh, good.
Forest floor.
Ah. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then the final note here is, I think, the strangest one, because I don't eat this food a lot.
Okay.
And so I don't really know what it tastes like off the top of my head. Flan.
Oh. I imagine flan's not super sweet either.
I'm excited now to take another sip.
Why not? I want to taste the forest floor.
Let's go for that flan.
I want to taste the forest floor when I'm not like running, tripping, and then, face planted into the forest floor.
That would be a first for both of us. There's a note here that's just a hint of something that's coming through that's reminding me, yes, this is definitely an American single malt. There's a hint of coffee at the tail end, and that's kind of sticking around on the finish a little bit too. Haven't gotten into the finish notes yet. Be very curious to see if that note shows up on that list.
I'm excited. I love the finish notes.
On the finish, mint panna cotta.
Oh, nice.
I don't know panna cotta.
But we've been watching MasterChef.
Sure.
And they like to make a lot of panna cotta.
I think I saw an episode where there was a panna cotta, and I don't remember it at all.
Yeah.
So, mint, I get. Panna cotta, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Graham cracker. I don't know that I get that note, but maybe that's what that sort of biscuity, I guess that's what it is. It's a biscuit type thing.
I feel like I get that more at the front than the finish, but there is definitely something hanging around.
Cherry jam. I don't know. I would say more strawberry jam, but the jamminess is there. That I totally see.
I'm jamming on this.
Yeah. Oh my. Orange marmalade. That I definitely think makes sense because there's a texture that hangs around, which doesn't make any sense on a finish, but the way that it coated and it clings to the inside of your mouth, that to me is very marmalade-ish. Marmalade-ish is a very popular word. People use that all the time. The next one I think is great because it reinforces that forest floor type of thing.
Oh, perfect.
Lingering pine and birch.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know necessarily birch. I know it's a pretty tree. I like it.
Yeah.
The pine I can absolutely get on board with here. But the whole thing is lingering. I think the finish is extensive on this whiskey. It's very nice.
Yeah, I can get on board with all the forest floors, the pine, that kind of thing. I said this already, like there's a mustiness of this, and it is. It's almost like the rain has fallen, the leaves have fallen on the ground, we've run and trampled them, and you go out 3 weeks later, and it's like that in-between, this doesn't sound great, but like that in-between life and death, right? Like
decaying stuff on the ground.
Yeah, but there's a smell about that is not appealing. Like I like that because I love being outdoors, and that translates into this glass.
So what you're identifying, I actually think that there's a word for.
Oh.
There's only 2 people in the world I've ever heard use this word. It's our friends Joseph O'Sullivan from Minden Mill Distilling and Caitlin Bartlemay from Hood River Distilling. Petrichor, which is a pleasant aroma that comes up after a rain after an extended period of dryness.
That's a very Oregonian word.
I've never heard anybody else use it, but I love those two, and I love this whiskey, quite honestly. I think that the Petrichor idea fits this perfectly. It is so well suited for my palate as an American single malt fan, with a bit of sweetness up front and a ton of earthiness to balance it all out. I love the zing on the front of the tongue from that fruit note. There is so much here to like and to explore. This is a whiskey to share with your friends, in my opinion. What do you think?
I agree. It has its nice delineation. It's not bourbon. It's not rye. It's not like smoky single malt. It's definitely not Scotch. Like it feels like it's in its own lane here.
Yeah.
I think this offers something really delicious.
Yeah, the balance is there, the flavor is there, and the experience is there. And what more could you possibly want from a whiskey? If this is what Westward whiskey is about, then I am all about Westward whiskey. Very well done. Well, before we wrap up this video, we've got a hike with our friends to a gorgeous waterfall in the Redwoods. Check this out. From wherever we are.
To wherever you are.
Cheers.
Cheers.